Team Taser approved.
Ever had a sighting?
No. All right. I am.
One?
Why? Maybe I have, but well, I'll tell you about that later. Okay. I'm recording now. My name is Michael Merchant, and I am here. Would you please say your name for us?
Jason Patterson.
Okay. And Jason has told me he's had an encounter in Maine, and so we're going to talk about that a little bit. So, when did the encounter happen to you, Jason?
It was about 19, 20 years ago. I think it was maybe in 93, 92,
Now, do
somewhere
you
around that.
you remember what month of the year it was?
I believe it was July.
And where did this happen to you? I mean, what were you guys out doing?
We were camping. We were out on Route 9 past Aurora um, on Rocky Pond. We were camping down at the south end. There's like a beach area down there, so we were camping down there.
That's interesting. That's not too far from Ellsworth. I had a interview with a nice couple that saw a pair of Sasquatches, or they don't know what they were. They saw something weird in Ellsworth. So, what time of the day was it? You guys are down there canoeing, fishing, or whatever?
Yeah, we were canoeing. We wanted to go to the north end just to kind of see what it looked like up at that area. But I would say it was late morning to mid afternoon.
Okay, so how there was? You don't have to name these people's names because you haven't okayed their story to share their story. But in a vague sense, who was with you? How many people were with you?
I had a friend of mine that was in the middle of the canoe. I was in the back, and his dad was in the front. And he was a year or two younger than I. We hung out a lot back in our high school days. So this was probably right after I got out of high school, maybe a year or two after that.
So, have you guys? I mean, I don't know. I know you're from Maine and all. You familiar with seeing bears and moose and deer? You seen that kind of stuff? I mean,
Yeah, I've seen moose kayaking. I've seen black bear. So I can definitely rule out it was one of those.
okay. So what did you see? What happened?
Well, what happened was we were canoeing along, and we were at the southern end of the pond, and we were not quite out in the middle, but more towards the left, the southwest of the pond, and we were heading towards the other end to kind of check it out. And to the left, we just were paddling along, and to the left of us, I kind of caught something that was kind of strange in my eye. The side of the pond had little rocks on it, had bigger rocks, and I observed this pretty big black, maybe dark brown to black figure, upright figure, step up onto this rock, and I would say it's very slightly look towards where we were in the water. And at that point, my friend and I had both seen it together, and we saw where it was. So we were trying to get his dad's attention, and we didn't get his attention in time enough to have him look towards what we saw. But we were adamant what we saw. He said it was a game warden, it was a bear, it was a person. Back then, we were describing as if you saw Chewbacca, it would be very similar in color, maybe darker,
Hmm.
and not as long a hair, shorter hair than something like that. Couldn't really see the face features or anything. It was, not a real far away. We weren't in the middle of the pond or anything. But so after that happened, his dad was adamant, "You guys didn't see nothing." And so we went in, and we went around to probably the left side of the rock. There's a little trail there that leads up into the woods a little bit and then comes around to the other side of the rock. We were pretty scared, I remember. And so we let him kind of take charge and go ahead of us because he didn't believe us anyway. He got up quite a ways, and he came back, "Get it back in the canoe!"
Wow.
And we were like, I was launching the canoe, and He's like, "Oh, just kidding." So we're even more scared at this point. So we kind of got our composure to kind of walk down the trail, and we wanted to see maybe if there was footprints, or we didn't really know really what we were looking for. There's a lot more exposure to this stuff now, so
Right.
um, we got to where the rock was, and I estimate that I remember the rock was probably about 3 feet tall, and it had a slight slope um, at the front of the rock, and it was probably, I would say, maybe 2 to 2.5, but it looked like it stepped up onto maybe like the middle, so I'm estimating maybe 3 feet. Um, and I had to climb up onto the rock, so I knew kind of guesstimate of, I'm 5'7".
Mhm.
I can't step up onto this thing. I have to like crawl up onto it. So I imagine this thing was pretty tall to be able
So,
to
how
step
tall
up.
do you estimate the creature was that you saw?
To step up onto the rock like that, I mean, there's probably a good way to extrapolate, what people think Sasquatch legs. They're supposed to be, I guess, in proportion to our bodies. Legs are shorter, but they're much taller, I guess. So 7, 8 feet, maybe somewhere around there. I mean, it
Wow.
was, it was, it was really, really tall.
It
Say
sounds
it
it.
was like slender,
Uh-huh.
but I got a view of it. Not like real broad shoulders head on. It like stepped up onto the rock, kind of at an angle. It kind of looked towards the pond, and then kind of stepped off of it. I mean, it stepped off with like, it didn't jump off. It didn't like crawl. It didn't crawl off the rock. It was like just one fluid motion off the rock, and then it like disappeared.
So you
Just
got a
it
look at
blended
the
in.
back of the thing?
I would say like the shoulder, maybe back of the legs. Didn't really see any big arm swings or anything that I remember. I mean, this was 20 years ago, so I mean, I can remember it pretty well, but not really, really super, super details.
Well,
Uh,
I know you this thing was happening fairly quickly and you're in a canoe, but did you note any when the thing was walking away from you, did you notice any difference in hair length or fur length from like the head or shoulders or arms, or did the hair length over the body appear more uniform in your opinion?
I would say, if anything, the hair maybe looked a little bit longer towards the upper portion, and maybe more uniform, just like around the legs. Um, It didn't look, as I remember, really, really super long hair. It looked more evenly coated, but maybe a little bit longer towards the top.
Do you I know you said that you fish, have you hunted or trapped as a kid or an adult in Maine? Do you?
I haven't really hunted too much. I mean, I went out with my dad a few times when I was a kid, but
Mhm.
um, done a lot of fishing and been out in the woods a lot, and have seen moose and kayaked and observed a lot of wildlife. So
All right. Well, it's probably. I'm just asking for your best, not guess on this, but if you just had to take a stab at it, what do you think this critter would weigh? The thing that you saw.
oh, jeez. I'd be terrible with weight, but if I had a front on view, it'd be a lot easier, I think. But to be that tall, geez, I'd say 600 pounds or more.
Wow.
And I'm just thinking, I'm 5'7". It had to be 3 times the mass of me.
Are you
So,
familiar with the Pattison Gimlin
oh,
film?
yep. I
How
remember
does
seeing
your
that as a kid, and
how does the creature that you saw compare to that photo? I mean that video.
I would say similar but slender, because I didn't get a good front on view. So I think the hair similar, um, but I just didn't get the girth to it.
Mm-hmm.
It looked really tall, but I didn't get a
How about coloration wise? How did it compare?
very, very similar. I would say it was like a really, really dark brown to maybe even black. I would probably lean more towards the blacker end.
If you had to describe the shape of the head, how would you describe that? You know, just in simple terms.
Um, Not like ours.
Interesting.
It was geez, it happened so quick too, and it was so long ago. But if I had to describe the head, I would say it was longer looking. I wouldn't say pointy, but it was taller looking. Um, that's about the best stab at it I guess I could take.
So you said the thing kind of looked in your direction. You didn't get much? How much of like how much of the face detail or mouth or eyes? Did you get any
We
detail
didn't get
from it?
any. I didn't get any face details. It was really more of a uniformed, real dark color.
Hmm, interesting. When you guys went and walked up that trail, did you smell anything? Hear any weird sounds? Anything other than your buddy's dad scaring you guys?
Yeah, not that I can remember, but we did look for footprints very, very briefly. There was a stream that was right to the right of that rock
Hmm.
that seemed like it went out into.
All right, I am recording.
I don't know where we left off, so
I think we're talking about whether there was an odor, and then I asked you about the shape of the head.
yeah, okay.
What
The
about what
so
about
we
like
went.
the? You said this thing was kind of slender. Could you maybe describe what detail you saw as far as the muscles go, and if you have any opinion as to what gender it might have been?
I mean, I can't remember seeing any muscles or anything. I remember it stepping up onto the rock, and then when it just kind of slightly turned and looked at us, and then it just kind of it just stepped off to the rock and blended right in with the wood. So I didn't see any specific, facial features or muscles.
How long were you guys up there fishing and camping?
I think we were there for about, I think 3 or 4 days.
And nothing, did anything else strange?
Team Taser approved!